Welcome back to my channel. It's Chris, where I talk about all things physical media, memories, moments, and slow living. And today I want to try something different on this channel. You guys know I love movies, I love collecting physical movies, and today I want to do something a little different. I do feel like my range of movies can be way more better, way more expansive, and just there's a lot of movies that I've missed that are considered cult classics, all that jazz. So I definitely want to explore that side of my channel and really talk about movies that I've actually never seen before. So I honestly don't know how I want to break up the series, but I'm really thinking about trying to break it up by director and just go down the list of their filmography. And one of the directors that I've been wanting to watch for a very long time is Wong Kar-Wai. I'm sorry if I butchered his name wrong, but I definitely want to be invested in his films because I see that everyone talks about his films and is always critically acclaimed. So I really want to dive into his world. So I don't know all the movies that he's done, so I'm gonna check out the list. So I have my laptop here, and he has done, let's see how many movies he's done. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 movies so far from 1988 to 2013, which is really interesting. And the first movie is As Tears Go By, Days of Being Wild, Chungking Express, Ashes of Time, Fallen Angels, Happy Together, In the Mood for Love, 2046, My Blueberry Nights, and The Grand Master. I do know that he has somewhat of a trilogy. I think it starts with Days of Being Wild, Fallen Angels. No, not Fallen Angels. I think it's Days of Being Wild, In the Mood for Love, and 2046. I think that's its own like trilogy, so I can't wait to explore that. I've heard so many great things about In the Mood for Love, so I can't wait to reach that point. So I'm excited to dive into his world, especially In the Mood for Love, since I have heard so many great things about it. So let's get into it. So the first film I'm going to watch is called As the Tears Go By, and it came out in 1988. I actually have a pen and notebook just in case I want to jot down anything that I do want to mention that I might forget when I do watch the film, so I can't wait for that. As Years Go By is actually on HBO Max. I'm actually reading the details of the movie, and it goes: a Chinese mob enforcer struggles to balance the demands of his triad bosses, the dangerous behavior of his erratic crime partner, and his growing love for his beautiful but ailing cousin. I have no idea what I'm in for, but let's start watching it. So I literally just finished As Tears Go By, and I actually want to go over some mini notes that I wrote when I first watched the movie. So this is what I wrote. I love the 80s soundtrack. That was literally the first thing that I like noticed about the movie. And I said, Take My Breath Away played. I guess they had their own version of Take My Breath Away. And it was a great scene in that moment when it did play that song. But one thing that I just couldn't get over was that I wrote their cousins, question mark, gross. He literally fell in love with his distant cousin, which I think is kind of nasty. And I'm not into stuff like that. I don't like storylines like that. But that's his love interest, was his distant cousin that was sick, and she had visited him because she needed to go like see the doctors, and then she ended up leaving afterwards. And she didn't know what type of job he had or what type of lifestyle he had, but he lived in this like gangster lifestyle with his friend who he calls his little brother Fly. And Fly was this like erratic friend who would always get himself into trouble, and while the main character would always have to try to get him out of trouble. And throughout the whole movie, you see him fight between living this lifestyle and trying to get out of it. This is Wong Kar-Wai's first movie, and I am glad to say that I actually thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end. It really kept me hooked and invested in the story, and I honestly did not know where it was going to go. But the ending really has shocked me somewhat. It was like 50-50. Like, I had an assumption of what was going to happen at the end, but to actually see it happen, I was kind of shocked. So there was some sadness going on, but I feel like that was a great conclusion to the ending of the movie. And yeah, that's my first movie from Wong Kar-Wai's little filmography. The next movie I want to watch is Days of Being Wild, which is part of that trilogy that I have mentioned earlier, and it's the first part to the trilogy. So I can't wait to start that next. So I just finished the movie Days of Being Wild, and so far I like the first movie more than this one. But nonetheless, this movie is still a great movie. And I actually jotted down some notes. I wrote down poor relationships with women. The main character, Yari, he actually had poor relationships with the women that he was with. He had made two women fall in love with him. He had a bad relationship with his mother, who is actually his adoptive mother, And then so he goes to the Philippines to find his real mother, and there's a sad story within that as well. So he just really had poor relationships with women throughout the movie, hence why he was so detached and so like out of it. I also wrote that this movie gave me a feeling of the sense of belonging, whether it's a place or a person. The main character Yuri, I feel like he didn't really have a sense of belonging because he actually wanted to figure out who his mom was, and the women who did fall in love with him, they wanted to belong to him, and the police officer who fell in love with one of the girls wanted to, I guess, like build a relationship with her too. So I feel like throughout the whole movie there was like some sense of loss in the world and a sense of belonging. But that's what I got from the movie. I could be wrong, but that's what I got, and it was actually like a slow burn for me in my opinion. And like I said, the movie is good, but I definitely love the first movie more. And I know that this movie is the first part of a trilogy, so I can't wait to see the other two movies. But next up is going to be Chungking Express, which is his third movie that he released. So I just finished Chungking Express from this director, and this is like the third movie from the director I've seen so far, and it's a little different from the last two, I would say. But what I found interesting about this movie was that it was broken up into two storylines about two male cops and their luck with love. And let me tell you guys, they're not lucky with love at all. And they're reliving the past, wanting to be with their girl, but they're gone. They're not there anymore. They don't want to be with them, so they're stuck like in this time loop of just wanting to relive the past. So I have some notes as usual, and I wrote down another story of loneliness and wanting love. Interesting way of storytelling. Store clerk decorating cop's place. So in the second part of the story, this story is about a male cop, and he's trying to get over his girl. She's gone, and he meets the store clerk, and she starts falling in love with him. What I found really interesting was that she sneaks into his place and starts fixing up his place to make him happy again. And he's so oblivious because he's so stuck in the past that he doesn't realize that she's there fixing up his place. But then you see their relationship unfold in an interesting way. And I don't want to spoil it, but that's all I can say. And one thing I do realize about the director is that he does talk about loneliness and wanting love and want a sense of belonging. And that's a common theme throughout all his movies. But I can't wait to watch the next movie. First of all, Ashes of Time is now on streaming services, so I'm just gonna skip that one for now. As you guys can see, I'm in a different setting. I'm actually in the bedroom, and it actually is the next day. So let's continue this marathon. The next movie up is Fallen Angels. So I just finished Fallen Angels, and one thing I want to say about that film compared to his other films was that it was filmed and stylized very differently, which I actually really enjoyed. I love the like wide angle camera lens of the close-ups of the characters. It felt very claustrophobic. You can see what they were feeling, and even the way it was filmed with the neon lights, it was a little moodier, it was a little darker. So I really enjoyed that about Fallen Angels. But here's some notes that I did write. So I wrote down, I love the colors and cinematography. Yes, A plus. I said one of the actresses is giving unhinged, but then later down the line, I find out that all of these characters are kind of unhinged. I said the movie stylistically filmed differently. I wrote down one of the main man characters is also unhinged. And I just realized towards the end of the film, all these different storylines and all these different characters, they all are unhinged, but I've noticed that they all were trying to find love. And yes, their like personalities were very like off the rocker in so many different ways. I think they all just wanted to be loved in some sort of way. While watching the movie, I felt like everyone's story, like personally, like they felt isolated in some way, and you can tell like they feel so isolated in a big city. I mean, like in New York City where we live, so many different people. But I can imagine how many people feel lonely in a big city, and that's kind of what it was giving for Fallen Angels. But I definitely really enjoyed the film. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know what to expect from this movie, to be honest. But it was very different from his other films for sure. So it is actually day three. Good morning, guys. I ended up not watching the rest of his films for the rest of the night because I wanted to take a break. But it is now day three, and I can't wait to watch this movie. I'm excited for this movie. This movie is actually the movie that I was looking forward to the most out of his filmography, and that movie is In the Mood for Love. So let's watch that movie and let's see how I feel about it. I'm excited. I just finished In the Mood for Love, and wow, everything everyone has said about this movie is exactly what I thought it would be, and what is one of my favorite movies so far from Wong Kar-Wai's filmography for sure. Let's get into it real quick. So I wrote down some notes again, of course, and I wrote down that in the movie there's gorgeous cinematography, which I absolutely loved, and I wrote Forbidden Love, shots of Cambodia and Angkor Wat are gorgeous and is very melancholy. So, In the Mood for Love, it's an interesting story about two neighbors whose spouses are actually cheating on them with each other. And the two neighbors have to basically cope with that, and they start to fall in love with each other as well. And that's where like the forbidden love plays into it on both ends of their spouses and the main characters. And you see them try not to get caught to avoid, town's gossip, and they're hurt inside, but they bond over the situation that their spouses both put them in. I just think the use of like the red, bold colors in the movie was beautiful. I love how it was shot. And one of my favorite parts of the movie is the score in the movie. That score is something that I don't think I could get out of my head anymore because it just worked so perfectly well with the film. My favorite part is, of course, the ending of the film and the beautiful shots of Cambodia. And maybe I'm being biased because I am Cambodian, but I think it's a beautiful shot. And I remember in the movie, the male main character, he tells his coworker, his friend, that when people used to keep secrets, they would speak it into a tree and cover it with mud, and he kind of did that, but at Angkor Wat, there's like religious temple, this very spiritual place. What kind of secrets did he speak to the temple? Was it his forbidden love, his unrequited love? What was it about that temple that made him go there to speak whatever truth he needed to speak into the temple? Very interesting, very open ended. But I absolutely love this film. Definitely going to be high on my ranking for sure. So I was so excited for In the Mood for Love that I totally forgot the movie Happy Together, which came out before In the Mood for Love. So we're going to check that out as well. I just finished Happy Together, and to think that I loved In the Mood for Love, Happy Together is just as good. I can see Wong Kar-Wai's storytelling get way more better and better as time go on, or maybe that's just my opinion. But Happy Together is really, really good. So some of the notes I have is that out of the gate, Ho Po Wing, Lai Yu Fai relationship is toxic. They keep breaking up and getting back together. So you can see that cycle of their relationship being super toxic. So Hopo Wing gets beaten up and he ends up moving in back with Lai when they are living in Argentina. I forgot to mention that. But they both go to Argentina and they get stuck and stranded there kind of in that way. So they're in a whole different country together, but they're not together, then they break up, then they're not together, then they break up. But then when Hope Wing gets beaten up, he ends up moving back with his ex. And I said the dynamic is really rocky, and they're stranded in Argentina. Fai gets a job as a doorman in Buenos Aires, but loses it after beating up the man who hurts Hope Wing. So you can tell that they love each other so much, but it's to the point where it's not healthy. And they're starting not to trust each other. They have jealousy issues. All these issues are coming up with them being together. I love how Wong Kar-Wai focused on a gay couple and a gay story, and that's very bold of him to do in the 90s. At times, the movie made you feel claustrophobic. You could feel like this confinement, but you also want to see them win at the same time, and you see them fight for each other and fight for their love, but sometimes that's just not enough, and that Lai deserves better. Honestly, he really does. He's such a great man, and he took his ex in, but his ex treats him like shit, unfortunately, sometimes. And then I don't want to spoil the movie, but you see a change in the movie where it's kind of like a bittersweet ending in my opinion, but really, really great film for sure. You guys, I'm almost at the finish line of his films and I'm having such a fun time. I'm definitely going to do more of this as a series because I'm just having so much fun and I'm learning a lot, honestly. But the next movie on this list is 2046, which is the third and final chapter of this unconnected trilogy. So I just finished 2046, and I believe that will be my last movie for this Wong Kar-Wai marathon. And I'm so sad it's coming to an end, but I decided to just stop there. And I know I missed Ashes of Time, but I think I have a good, well, knowledge of Wong Kar-Wai's films now, which I'm super happy about. But on to 2046, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it was longer than it needed to be. and it was like loosely based off the last movie, In the Mood for Love. And I believe his character just was so heartbroken that he just became like a playboy. He just was just having these flings with these women who actually started to fall in love with him, but he didn't reciprocate that, and their hearts were broken. And the only way he can talk about his like love stories and his heart and how he felt was through like these sci-fi stories he would write. And the number 2046 was significant in the sense of the year of where his stories were taking place when he wrote these sci-fi movies. I mean, these sci-fi stories, and 2046, the room number in the building that he was living in as well. I would say this is not my favorite out of the bunch of his films because I just feel like it kind of dragged a little bit. And I did like the little glimpses of them referring back to the last movie, but I'm not a big fan of this one, to be honest. Unless you guys have something that I'm missing that makes me appreciate the film more, then I'll take a second look at it. But as a first initial watch, I wasn't too crazy about it, to be honest. I'm so sad this is coming to an end, but I'm so happy to experience the world of Wong Kar-Wai's films. He definitely has an eye for these movies and the way he films things, but let's get into ranking. So I have my ranking here, and I've only watched 7 out of 10 of his films. So at number 7, I put 2046. At number 6, I put Days of Being Wild. At number 5, I put Fallen Angels. At number 4, I put Chungking Express. At number 3, I put As Tears Go By. At number 2, I put In the Mood for Love. And surprisingly, at number 1, I put Happy Together. I really enjoyed that film so much. So there it is. There's my ranking. Let me know any other directors that you guys think I should watch that I haven't checked out yet. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for my next one. Bye.